Hi, I'm Daniel with the ASU Tutoring Center. Today we're going to be talking about the gains and losses from international trade. And remember, your professor may use slightly different notation, so just check with them after this. Anyway, here we go. So what I've already drawn is a typical supply and demand framework for our goods. So we have, and I denoted we have DOM for domestic. So this is domestic supply and domestic demand. If this was a closed economy, if we were just talking about this country, our equilibrium would be right here with this quantity and this price. Pretty straightforward. But let's say this country now agrees to free trade with another set of countries, and those other countries are selling this good for a higher price. For some reason, maybe there's better technology, but our country is better at producing this good than everyone else because the price going on in our country is lower. There is going to be gains to trade here because demand sliding out to this new price. Basically, this says that this is the demand for the people in the country, and then additionally, other countries are going to want to purchase this many of the good from our country. So this is our price. We take the world price, and the quantity is going to be here. So we can see that producers in our country are going to benefit from this. There used to be this Q1 produced in our country and sold. Now the new equilibrium quantity is out here. It's increased. So that's a benefit to producers, both because they're selling more and also because they're selling at a higher price. Conversely, consumers within our country are not going to be too happy about this. Producers are able to sell to other people, so there's no market pressure forcing the price down. So consumers within our country are hurt because now they have to pay the higher world price. All right, so now let's look at it with some actual numbers now that we've gone over the theory. So to recover, so our original equilibrium just with the closed economy, where domestic supply equals domestic demand, would be at a quantity of 500 and a price of 10. But the world price is 15, so producers in our country are now going to be producing at 15, and they're going to have a choice. They can sell domestically or they can sell to other countries. And we see that here by demand being shifted out. So this is now world demand. This captures both demand from domestic consumers and demand from consumers in other countries. So we can see all total 700 units of this good are being purchased anywhere in the world, but they were made by this country. We still have domestic demand, and we can now go back and see, all right, at the new world price of 15, how many of these units of these goods are being purchased within our country? And we see it's 300. So we see that 200 fewer people buy it within the country now that we've gone up. However, the overall production level has gone up to 700. Interestingly, so we can do a little bit of subtraction. So if 700 are being produced within the country, but only 300 are being purchased within the country, we know this difference is the level of exports. So we can graphically see it here. So the distance from here to here, the distance between domestic demand and world demand, is the amount that's being exported by the producers within our country. So 700 minus 300, we get 400. So there are 400 units being exported at a price of 15 within this, or from this country. All right, now we're going to talk about the converse situation. We're going to talk about what happens when a country imports. So here's a different country. We see their closed economy equilibrium, just supply and demand within the country, domestic supply, domestic demand, comes out to an equilibrium of 400 units at a price of 70. Let's say that when they join this free trade agreement, the price on the world stage is 40. So maybe this is something that the United States can produce, but China produces a lot and really cheap. So now the world price is 40. Consumers basically have a choice. I can either buy it from domestic supplier at 70, or I can import it from China at 40. The way we graphically show this is a shift out of supply. This is now the supply both of this country and the other countries together. So let's draw this price of 40 across. This gives us a new equilibrium of 500. And we can see that it touches domestic supply over here only at 200. So we learn a couple of things. We can see that by electing to import the good, this benefits consumers pretty drastically. The price went from 70 down to 40. 100 more units of this good are being purchased, and it's being purchased at a much lower price. On the other side, domestic suppliers are being hurt because the price goes down, their profits or at least revenues are going down, and also they're only able to sell 200 at this price because it's more costly for them to produce this good than it is for China. We can do some quick subtraction again. If 500 is being purchased within the country and only 200 is being produced in the country, that difference of 300 tells us that 300 units are being imported. So we've talked about exports and how to calculate an amount of export. Now we talk about imports. One more lesson to draw from this is, if you're listening in the media, you hear trade good, trade bad. Really, we've seen by definition, there are always trade-offs. It's either going to help producers if it's an export, or it's going to help consumers if it's an import. And on the other side, it's always going to hurt somebody too. There are good things about it, there are bad things about it. It really has to do with how much the price is going to change, the conditions in the other countries. There's so many other factors. So we've just talked about the framework of trade, but know that when extending this into real life, it's a very complex issue. There are a lot of counterbalancing factors. I hope this helps. If you have any further questions about trade or anything else in your class, be sure to come on into the ASU Tutoring Center and we'll be able to help you there. Thank you.